This video was sponsored by Norn VPN. Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shagok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at why Rudeus is so abhorred by Rudeus Greyrat to the degree that he actually is. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's start with the topic at hand. Norn Greyrat is the daughter of Paul Greyrat and Zenith Greyrat, and thus Rudy's full sister. But despite that, and despite the fact that they grew up together, at least for a short time, she deeply resents Rudy. And there are three main reasons for this. Firstly, Paul was teleported away together with Norn, but separated from the rest of the family, which means that during this critical phase, Norn had no one else but her father to care for her and to protect her. Her mother, Zenith Greyrat, was and still is absent, and so the other half of her parents is still missing, meaning Paul was the only parental figure for Norn after the teleportation disaster. Therefore Norn was very focused on her father, because she otherwise had no parent and none to protect and care for her. Because also the maid Lilia was away with her own daughter in another kingdom. And the first impression Norn had of Rudy was that he seemed to have experienced a great adventure and had lots of fun, while Paul had to struggle and was worn out trying to rescue the other villagers. And then Rudy seemingly attacked Paul for no reason, and he did this twice, as Rudy didn't know why Paul's group had apparently kidnapped a child during the first encounter. This alone made Rudy seem like a fiend and a villain to Norn, rather than a loving older brother. She genuinely felt threatened and scared for her father's life because of Rudy's sudden emotional outburst and his attack. Furthermore, Norn understood why there was conflict in the family and what her father had done, as his affair with Lilia caused immense stress and put the family to the test, something that only Rudy somewhat rectified. But Norn never witnessed or understood that Rudy had saved the life of her half-sister's mother and of course of her half-sister as well, saving Lilia's life, who would have otherwise perished on the way home to her own parents in the middle of winter. While he helped keeping the family together is undoubtedly something great, but Norn only knows of the story, if at all, through stories and retellings. And again, the story of how her father cheated is not exactly a fun or good story for a little girl. So Norn at this point had likely no idea what Rudy did for the family. And even if she had, she was not the girl that profited from this. Her half-sister Aisha had profited from it. And the mother of her, Lilia, had profited from it by being allowed to stay. But for Norn, this setup, this half-sister, made everything much more complicated and caused a lot of stress and pressure. And with all of that said, Norn did witness how much the family suffered from Paul's infidelity and what consequences Paul's affair and the existence of her half-sister Aisha had for her. Therefore Norn deeply despised infidelity and constantly having new women and affairs, something she also sees Rudy do a lot, because from her own perspective, Rudy left Sylvie behind, told stories about an adventurous journey, beat up her father, then just disappeared together with this new red-haired woman, only to be sent to Rudy alone, without mother and father. And then, Rudy already has another woman lined up. Of course Norn thinks of the most obvious explanation, namely infidelity and cheating. And remember, Norn grew up with Sylvie, then saw Rudy traveling with Eris, and now Sylvie is back in the picture all of a sudden. From Norn's perspective, Rudy behaved just as badly as her father in his very worst times, with the difference being that her father now restrains himself and works for the greater good of the family, and to find Zenith, and has already suffered greatly for it. And again, one could see how worn out Paul looked when he met Rudy again. Norn didn't understand what Rudy had gone through, how he thinks and acts, and that he suffered as well. So Norn also resented him for being everything wrong with his father, in addition to being a threat to the only parent she had left. And the last point I want to make is partially a spoiler, but I think it can be said now without spoiling anything really relevant. Rudy's grandmother, Claire, of the House of Latreia, the mother of Zenith, is extremely strict and very concerned about the family's reputation. She also made it pretty clear to both half-siblings, to Norn and Aisha, that she considers Norn to be better than Aisha, since she is a true-born child and heir. That's why Norn's grandmother was so insistent that Norn should outperform Aisha. But Aisha was clever and simply defied her step-grandmother by consistently getting better grades, studying better, paying more attention, and performing better than Norn. It was at least in part a defiant reaction, like saying, "Look here, step-grandmother, you say that Norn is better than me and that I am less worthy than Norn just because I'm the illegitimate child of Paul and Lilia the maid, while your beloved Norn is the child of Paul and Zenith and therefore true-born. But if this is true, and she is so much better than I, why is she then so below average in school and I'm so good? Huh?" And for Norn, this meant enormous expectation and extreme pressure that were placed upon her. In the eyes of her strict grandmother, Norn, as a descendant of her house and blood, was supposed to perform better than Aisha, the daughter of a mere maid. However, since Norn couldn't meet these expectations and underperformed, and since Aisha was aware of this, and thus oftentimes flexed her grades and her successes on Norn, since Aisha also felt inferior to Norn for being the child of a maid, Norn constantly felt bad because she couldn't please her grandmother and constantly disappointed her. She felt alienated and deficient. Feeling like she was a constant disappointment, Norn isolated herself from others, became very introverted, because she couldn't keep up with her half-sister and her grandmother's expectations. Also, the fact that Paul seemed to have at least the talent to become a legendary swordmaster, that Zenith was skilled in healing magic, that her very own grandmother was from the illustrious Latreia family, that her half-sister, the girl with arguably worse starting conditions, outdid her in everything, and that Rudeus Greyrat, the man she so despises, above all else, seemed to be a genius from the very childhood, excelling at pretty much everything, made Norn feel like a failure and extremely insecure. Every comparison with pretty much every other relative hurt, and made her painfully aware that she couldn't keep up with anyone else, and that everyone around her was better than her. And she also felt that this was something wrong with her, and that she didn't want to live in the shadows of her relatives. So she had a lot of anger and frustration within her, and Rudy just embodied everything that hurt and scared Norn. He hit her only remaining parent, Paul Greyrat. He seemingly found another woman again, so Norn saw Paul's dark side alive and kicking within Rudeus, and Paul's infidelity also led to the constant comparison to Norn's half-sister Aisha, and Claire's high expectations. And yet, this vile man seemed to be much better at everything since childhood, making Norn feel inferior to Rudy. And that's why Norn despises Rudy so much. And with that said, now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on Norn Greyrat and the problems she faces, and of course, on the video as well? Let me know it down in the comment section. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Guy Yee, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Moreno, Hoss, Haster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Le Louche Britannia Wiffy Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Love Razor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shagox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rak Edsmeshar, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenukai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.